What's happening, everybody? I'm Paul Sharp. Today I wanted to talk to you about my training plan as I begin to prepare for the Fighting Chance Round 2, which is to raise money and awareness for the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network, which benefits the patients and the families of the patients, the folks that are fighting a battle with pancreatic cancer. If you want to know more about that, check out Pancreatic Cancer Action Network. There's a lot of information there. And if you want to know more about what I'm doing, and if you want to donate or just share it with other people, or you want to come out and do it with me, then you can certainly do that. And there's going to be a link in the caption, and just click on that, follow it, and get involved. I'd really appreciate it. Now, what is the event? The event is going to be a 5K running on all the even hours, and then a 5K rowing on all the odd hours. So we're going to kind of like leapfrog, run, row. Every hour, on the hour, I'm going to be doing one of those two things for 24 hours. So it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a challenge. It's one of those things where it's a true misogi. Don't really know if I can finish it, but I got to start it. So how do I prepare for that? I'm not sure if you guys can see this. I'll throw an overlay on here so you guys can see a close-up of this and how I prepare. This is a template. This is not set in stone. I don't have, when I train myself or others, I don't really have anything that is, there's nothing sacred, put it that way. So if something's not working, we will shift quickly. The faster you can pivot and get off of something that's not working and onto something that is, the better. Having that ability to rapidly adjust mid-flight is really important, and that's just something I had to learn over the years. There was a time where I rigidly stuck to a program. That's not always the most productive approach, because sometimes it's not working, so we have to shift quickly and move to the next thing, make that adaptation and move on. So with that in mind, this is my basic template. Just a reminder up here of what I have to do so that when I fill in this, I'm always aware of what the objective is going to be. The objective is going to be a 24-hour event, running a 5K on the even hours and rowing a 5K on the odd hours. That's basically, it's just a reminder. So I keep the main thing the main thing. I don't get too far away from that. So here's how it's going to be. It's going to be a Monday through Saturday training program. I take Sundays off, but I generally train 6 days a week. I am a fan of the 6x6 approach, which is 6 hours a day, 6 days a week for training. That's been something I've always done, always kind of kept that as a loose guide. Now, Mondays, because this is the main thing, right? So every day will start. Monday through Saturday or Friday, we'll start with a run for 30 minutes and a row for 30 minutes. Theoretically, I should be able to run my 5K and row my 5K in 30 minutes. That's the goal. I want to acclimate myself to that demand, and because that gives me 30 minutes of off time. So that's 30 minutes off the track, 30 minutes off the rower, where I can then eat, drink, stretch, do whatever mobility work I have to do. If something's starting to if I'm starting to develop a hot spot, I can address it. All those things. Gear starts to fail, I can switch it out. So I need that 30-minute window. I'm going to be working towards a 30-minute 5K, 30-minute 5K row. I'm alternating. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we'll start with the run. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, we'll start with the row. Saturday will be an event simulation. Saturdays, I will run on the even hour and I will row on the odd hour. Now, how many of those I'll do will depend on my training, how I'm feeling, all that stuff. I'm going to do a minimum of 4 hours every Saturday. Will be my kind of my baseline. Just as a check-in, again, that's about the logistics. a lot of folks don't understand that when you do these kinds of things, there's more going on than just the actual running or rowing or biking or swimming. Those of you that have done triathlons or you've done ultras or even a marathon, you know what I'm talking about. There is some logistical issues that arise. There's clothing, shoes, socks. There's all kinds of things that start to bubble to the surface as you begin to simulate the event. And you don't want that to happen during the event. You want to get all that worked out weeks in advance. So you have, this is exactly how I need to get on and off the rower. This is how I need to, if I get stuck, some bad weather, something goes wrong, I have to do my run on a treadmill, then here's what I need to do with the treadmill, getting on and off, all those things. So you work all that stuff out. So that's why it's important to have that event simulation day so you can get all that sorted out ahead of time. Nothing worse than, think about like a shooting competition. There's no way you would take, if it's a pistol like USPSA or IDPA, there's no way you would take a brand new pistol out of the box, never shot it before, and just go out there and try to run a stage. You don't know what's going to happen with this pistol. You don't know where the sights are, does it hit to the sights? Is it 6 o'clock hold, dead center? Like, what are we doing here? Does it have an optic? Is the optic zeroed? All these things have to be done ahead of time so you can have a better day on the day of the event. That's what we're doing here, sorting out shoes. There's ways to lace your shoes, there's socks, all these different things that will create a different outcome. That's where we figure this out, on the Saturday. Now, so that's my morning. My morning will be running and rowing for an hour every single day, except Sundays, Saturdays. There will be multiple runs and rows in there, again, simulating the event. So run at the top of an hour, have whatever time's left over to rest, recover, eat, so I get used to running and rowing while I have food in my stomach. Then row again, off the rower, have that time left, whatever's time left. Do I need to use a foam roller? Do I need to have a massage gun there? Maybe a floss, voodoo floss. What might I need? What might come up? And so that's where I'm going to sort all that stuff out on Saturdays. Now, midday on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I will do sprint work. I like to keep some sprint work in the mix. So I use 400 meter sprints sometimes, especially for events like this. I like to use 400s for just all of my sprint work. The first week, week 1, I will do 3 400 meter sprints on Monday, 4 400 meter sprints on Wednesday, and then 5 400 meter sprints on Friday. Then week 2, we're waving, I undulate, right? So waving. So week 2, we start at 4, then 5, then 6. Week 3, we start at 5, then 6, then 7. Week 4, it'll be 6, then 7, then 8. 400 meter sprints with a minute rest in between. That's usually 8 400s is usually getting close to my max output. With everything else I'm doing, we'll keep it right about there. And then again, as I said in the beginning, we'll reassess where we are. Should I move to 200 meter sprints, on each side of the 400? So that would look like 3 400 meter sprints, but start with 2 200 meter sprints, 3 400 meter sprints, end with 2 200 meter sprints, or something of that nature. We'll play around with that. I've used this model so many times, this template. I've used it since 1996. So some version of this. I got this template from a Fred Hatfield, Dr. Fred Hatfield's seminar, where he talked about training athletes for a variety of sports. You don't need to do a lot of specific stuff. You just need to develop an overall high level of fitness. And this was the approach he used. I left that seminar and plugged it in, began using it right away, and really have never had a reason to change. I've played around with other things, experimented with other things, but I always come back to this. So, Tuesdays, Thursdays, normally on Saturdays as well, I would do plyos. However, because Saturday is an event simulation day, I'm going to be doing my plyos on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Tuesdays will be dedicated to hops and skips. Because of what I'm doing, I'm conditioning myself for impact. Hopefully I don't take a fall. I fell during one of my events and broke several toes and popped my knee pretty bad. So yeah, I think to take plyometric training out, or shock absorption, impact absorption training out of your mix, I don't know. I see pros and cons, put it that way. For me, for the people I train, I keep it in. I keep it in the mix, but we do hops. I don't do any depth drops. I don't step off of something and drop and catch myself. I'm not trying to do any of that. That will redline me pretty quick, get me really close to injury. So I do a lot of hopping and skipping. Hops on one foot, hops on both feet, conditioning the ankles, the feet, all of that, just shock absorption. Skips just to condition, my hips a little bit, to help with all of that good stuff, and just for the coordination. Plus, in a weird way, it helps my mobility. That explosive, it helps with mobility. On Thursdays, that's when I'll do jumps. So today is Thursday. I will be doing jumps. So what that'll look like is there's a bench. I do my plyos in the park because it's grass. There's a bench over there, so I will just jump onto the bench. Step down, jump onto the bench, step down, and then I'll do some broad jumps. Not trying to explode as hard as possible, because again, I have an event coming up and I don't want to run the risk on tearing something or torquing something. Just trying to develop that shock absorption and the ability to accelerate and explode. That's it. So in the mornings, running and rowing. In middays, sprints or plyos, alternating. Evenings, which could be 3 o'clock usually, 3 in the afternoon. On Mondays and Thursdays, I will do an upper body push workout, which is, just what it sounds like. I know all muscles pull from origin to insertion. I get it. But for general purposes, we understand what this means. A push is that, right? So I'm pushing something away from my body. Push days on Mondays and Thursdays, going heavy. I don't go light, even though this is an endurance event, because I'm trying to save and even build as much strength as possible. It's injury prevention. It fights the natural drive of our body to dump muscle as we age. So I'm trying to keep as much muscle as possible, building, even maybe add some muscle and build strength. So preserve the strength I have and build more. So push on Monday and Thursday, pull on Tuesday and Friday. Again, pulling, right? Pull-ups, rows, curls, all that good stuff. Anything that involves pulling my arms back to my body, that would be a pull workout. And then on Wednesdays and Saturdays, I will do legs. Now, the one thing that I will change when I'm getting ready for an event like this is I don't do a lot of movements anyway. I stick with just a handful of things, and I just work them into the ground. But I will not go as far into failure as I normally would. Meaning, I won't go until I can't move the bar. I won't go until I can't do presses and I get here and that's all I can do. I will keep doing that till I can't do that. So when it gets to a point where I can't move the bar at all, that's when I'll rack it. To me, that's the end of the set. With the nature of this event, it's leg and hip, really hip intensive. I'm really My hips are on fire right now from the rowing and the running. Therefore, I will stay away from that edge. Still gonna squat, still gonna deadlift, zerchers, all that good stuff. All the big heavy movements, I'm still gonna do that stuff. But rather than getting to a point where I need my training partner to help me get a couple more reps on the squat, I start to bottom out. They have to help me get back to the top and rack it, or the deadlift, I get like just to my knees or just above my knees and start shaking and can't hang on to the bar. We've all been there, done that. I won't do those workouts now. I think, especially squats and deadlifts and bigger movements like that, it really takes it out of your nervous system. And with all the work that I'm doing to get ready for that, I don't have the ability to say my nervous system's shot. I'm going to take 3 or 4 days here and just do some really light. I'm still going to go to the gym, but I'm going to go light. I'll do leg extensions, right? Just something to get some blood pumping in my legs and lower body. No, I don't have the time to do that. This event is 10 weeks out. I have to maintain as much strength as possible, which equals stability around the joints as possible, and remain as injury-free as possible. I'm trying to make myself as bomb-proof as possible. So I need to get those workouts in, but I don't need to fry my nervous system in the process. That makes sense. Therefore, my leg workouts will stay away from that edge. I'm going in there to build strength, but I'm not going in there to crank it. I'm not going in there to just push myself to exhaustion. This isn't a Tom Platz or one of those guys type workouts. This is not that. It's a different thing. I hope that answered any questions you might have on the program. As far as core work goes, because that's really important during these events, the ability to stabilize your core and avoid some of the fatigue that begins to set in around your lower back and hips. Mostly we'll be doing planks, because that's what I will be doing when I'm running. I will be holding myself in a position. When I'm rowing, I'm holding myself in a position. So I really need that stabilization piece that you get from doing planks. I'll still do the normal stuff you do as a fighter. You're always conditioning your core to take punches and take hits. So I'll still do those things, the regular sit-ups and hanging leg raises and side crunches and all that stuff, and hanging leg raises but bringing your legs up to the side and crunching, so you're working your obliques and all that, so hooks and knees and all that good stuff doesn't hurt as much. I'll still work all that, but I'm really going to put a lot of focus on those planks and creating that stabilization piece. So yeah, that's about it, man. I hope some of this helped. If you have any questions, feel free to throw them in the comments. I'm happy to answer, and you guys have a good one.